Feeling spiritual strength that is off the charts is when you have applied enough self-discipline to you that you feel strong enough to let that lower part of you go and allow the higher part of you to step in and carry out the important spiritual work. Spiritual strength is all about moving toward the strongest and most abundant thing that you have. And this just so happens to be extremely spiritual in its nature. The reason being is because spirit, or awareness, which is the source of this deep strength, is something that is actually of a higher order of reality than the mind or body. Meaning, because it is more fundamental to reality, more true, it is thus more real, more powerful, and can be relied upon infinitely more because of its deep truth and boundlessness. This spiritual strength that semen retention can heighten in you generally tends to manifest with you being more of an upstanding and conscientious human being. You're kinder, you're warmer, you're braver, you're stronger, you're more patient, you're more willing, you are more loving, and you are more selfless. You might help an older person with their shopping. You might let someone go in front of you in a queue. You might help out a friend and ask for nothing in return. Or you might resolve tension from a past relationship because you have the balls to confront that. It doesn't matter how big or small the task is, you are run by divine electricity. You feel strong and you feel powerful. Of course, you are going to put others before you, because with great power, can you be deeply loving? And to prove this even further, how likely are you to do any of these things if you are feeling really insecure or weak or low in energy? The answer is very unlikely. It takes balls to get out of your own way and to help others. You can't be lazy or undisciplined if you want to lead the way for humanity. One example of where true spiritual strength can kick in for someone is within these videos that you can see of people running into burning buildings and homes looking to pull out loved ones or animals, even when they know there's a chance of them not coming back out. Consider the possibility that the person acting there is not acting from ego, but is instead using the energy from the present to intuitively guide them. And it is instilling in them an attitude of, I will do whatever I can here. I am here to help. This mentality and this way of seeing things is actually extremely spiritual, because it involves the full surrendering of the thing called you, the ego. Profound spiritual strength is what takes over in order to complete such a selfless and spiritual mission. This is the driving force to go above and beyond the mind, the ego mind, and make a decision from the heart, not from the logical or rationally thinking mind, from the heart. And to link back to the core topic, you are much more likely to have the mentality or spiritual courage of the person who was running into the burning building if you are practicing semen retention, because it simply levels up your aliveness, spiritual connection, empathy, and your willingness to do things in life. The example I gave of having spiritual strength is definitely quite extreme and certainly doesn't require semen retention to carry out. But I would be willing to bet that if you were in that position yourself, you would be far more likely to run into that building and save your cat if you were backed up by the powerful essence of your own life force or energy. This spiritual strength I might describe further as when you feel the intuitive, infinite, and completely selfless part of you arise and take over. And this happens in such a way where you are sort of placed into a state of flow. And the only thing that could resist this is the ego mind. But this has already been quietened and shifted back to a point where it is still functioning, but it is not putting up the resistance which might deter you from your spiritual mission. The truth is, this amount of concentration, energy, will, and focus that retention gives you is simply too much to not conquer and override any internal resistance that the ego puts up. And this is why I like to call spiritual strength a profoundly egoless energy. It is pure And it is this way not only because it requires physical purity from you, but actually your intention and mindset using this energy is always to pursue goodness, high consciousness, to promote love, selflessness, and compassion, which are all, of course, deeply spiritual things. Spiritual strength is also about being strong when other people can't. Believe it or not, you always actually want to help others and to do good in the world. But until you have the strength to do this, you can never really separate yourself from the herd and become a full-blown spiritual warrior. The reason that semen retention is so significant is because it can make you feel very psychologically and spiritually strong. And when someone is strong in this fashion, they're an extremely non-needy person. They're able to help people because they've already helped themselves. And so this is one way that semen retention will help you evolve spiritually. For the more you help yourself and the more you help others, the closer that you will grow to burning through all of your karma and awakening as God or the entire fucking universe. But in spite of this, I will say, just retaining your semen is good, but it's even more about the states of mind that you access with disciplining yourself and with having lots of spiritual energy. Don't get too caught up with retention as a practice, and instead become more interested in experiencing higher states of mind, because you're on this path to raise your consciousness and develop your wisdom and spiritual connection. There are dozens of ways to do this and to move closer to higher consciousness. So always keep an open mind and be careful to not form a strong bias toward one technique, especially not over others, which can end up making you more ideological and actually counter-spiritual, as you're clinging tightly to something, which is never a good idea. But to be honest, it's a very common thing on the spiritual path to actually form an attachment to being on the spiritual path, which is sort of contradictory when the spiritual path is all about surrendering attachments and not forming new ones. So be careful and hold all practices lightly. On a deeper, even more serious note, I want you to appreciate that if you are going through something extremely difficult, or if someone very close to you is going through something extremely difficult, there is nothing more useful than having deep spiritual strength, which of course can help pull you through during those tough and emotionally difficult times. And if you are helping someone else, what you do is you actually embody the strength that they need, and therefore radiate the perfect energy for them to absorb and feel better and stronger within themselves. Radiating spiritual strength, in my experience, really does help the other person feel more stable and feel more calm, because the energy that you give off is spiritually nourishing. Even saying nothing, non-verbally, this work is being done to heal and support others, and especially that person who is suffering, because the power of energy ultimately goes beyond words. Likewise, having spiritual strength is a heart-centered thing. This means that you are driven by selflessness, right? The desire to love and have compassion for others. You are willing to put others before you simply because your intuitive inner voice is guiding you to do so. Having high spiritual strength, this is the only real option that there is for you. It's just what you're going to be doing. So, if not already clear, what your aim is with semen retention in this context is to make you feel more psychologically and spiritually strong, so that you can live from a place of strength, wisdom, and selflessness. You want to have this spiritual strength to make a genuine impact on your life, literally changing the way that you would react in certain situations. And this can happen for you if you retain and you do the internal work and you learn to focus your mind so that it is not being loud, noisy, and selfish, but instead being sharp, loving, and of service to you, everyone around you, and the spiritual mission, which is your entire life. So, start taking more personal responsibility for your energy by disciplining your own mind, and so that you are in the perfect position to radiate spiritual strength and support and love and help others around you with all of life's tasks and challenges. You will get to a point where you've helped yourself enough by getting out of your own way, such that now you are able to help others. And this is always deeply rewarding, more so than most things in life. So enjoy feeling the compassion and enjoy carrying out the selflessness, for you know deep down that living life like this is ultimately the wisest approach that there is. So, if you've enjoyed this video and you would like more, then please do subscribe.